Welcome to part 4 in the series, the Elijah message, historical and present day applications. And what we have been doing, we have been looking at the story of Elijah. We're looking at the story of Elijah in the context of his interaction with Ahab and Jezebel. And we have been looking at that in the context of the historical account of Elijah, but looking at the application as it relates to our time. And this is lesson number 4 in the 4-part series. We have been using as our main text Malachi 4 verse 5 and 6, which says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet." And we have been very careful each time we present to make the point that we're not talking about Elijah coming in bodily form, but Elijah coming through the message. As a very relevant message, because the text goes on to say, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And we have seen much evidence to confirm that Christ is coming in soon. So it speaks to the fact that Elijah's message takes relevance when? Now. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children. Yes, I was conversing with one of the sisters earlier, and yes, it was a strong point she was making. That's one of the essence of the Elijah message. It's a turning the father's heart to the children's heart, and the children's heart to the father's heart. Now, that can be understood in 2 levels. It can be understood on the horizontal level, between fathers and their children and children and their fathers. But it can also be understood on what level? The vertical level, where our hearts is turned to Heavenly Father, and vice versa. So within the message itself is a message of not only restoration and renewal, but a putting back together. Lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So there's a certain sense of urgency involved in the message. This needs to be done, lest I, God speaking, I come and smite the earth with a curse. Now this is a chart that we looked at before. I'm just going to give a quick summary, very overview, very high level overview. You can go back and look at the previous 3 studies to get more detail. So the Elijah message spans from the church of Thyatira all the way to the church of Laodicea. The Elijah message, as seen in the church of Laodicea, encompasses the message of the church of Thyatira, Sardis, and Philadelphia. All 3 messages find their repeat and relevance again in the church of Laodicea, along with Laodicea's own unique messages. We'll start off by looking at 1 Kings 16:29 to 1 Kings 17:24. And we saw that there was a time period of 3.5 years of no rain. And that 3.5 years is 1,260 years. And we saw during that time period there were 2 churches exemplified in our discussion. The first church was Thyatira, that was the widow woman that Elijah was sent to be nourished by. And that time period was from 513 AD to 1563. And then from the church of Thyatira came the church of Sardis. And Sardis was seen as, "Thou art dead." And then we talk about dead in Orthodox. It's the post-Reformation period. And then we saw this dead church rose to life again during the period of the church of Philadelphia, as was enacted in parabolic ways by Elijah when he lied or applied himself to this dead child 3 times. We studied that in 1 Kings 18:17-46, where we saw 3 angel messages indeed brought life to the church of Philadelphia. And that's historically sound and biblically sure. Then this morning we looked at 1 Kings 21 from verse 1 to verse 18. And we looked at the church of Laodicea, that during this time period is going to be the same contention between Ahab, Jezebel, and Elijah. And we saw the issue there was the son-in-law. We saw the issue there was a requirement of the vineyard of Naboth to be acquired by this church-state union. And we said that this vineyard had a certain distinct vintage in terms of the doctrinal message that came from this church at that time. All right, looking at the Adventist church in our application. So we're going to continue now in 1 Kings 21. We're going to be looking at more mainly verse 18 to verse 23. But let me give a quick overview. So we learned this morning that the Word of God says in 1 Kings 21 verse 1, and it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a what? Vineyard which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. And we learned that Jezreel means God will sow or God has sown. Very important when we go to the application. Because when I talk about any vineyard, not any place named Jezreel, but a place where God has sown. This is not of human device, but of divine origin. And we saw there that Ahab spake unto Naboth, that's 1 Kings 21 verse 2, saying, give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs. We'll discuss that and say, what a quandary here. You have the vintage, the vineyard, the vines that are producing this vintage wine, new wine, good doctrine, sound doctrine, doctrine that doesn't hurt the head. And here we saw, and we looked at Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7 and 8, and we juxtaposed that to Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 10. And we saw that behind the scenes, Ahab had some very sinister intention. His intention was to root out these vines and plant a garden of Egyptian herbs. Suspicious and questionable doctrines. Then we saw here it goes on to say, and I'll give you for it a better vineyard than it. We saw that there was a offer here for state religion, and we saw that application in our times right now, that there is indeed a state religion being built. And it got even more worse. If it seemed good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in what? Money. And we discussed that there are several occurrences now going on within the church-state system. And all of this sets up a stage for bribery and compulsion through financial means. So yes, we are here in the discussion as it relates to this whole account of what occurred. Now I'm giving a very high-level revision. You can go back and look at this morning's study, which was Jezebel's decree. And Naboth said to Ahab, 1 Kings 21:3, the Lord forbid me that I should give the inheritance of my father unto thee. And we said before that the doctrinal message of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, for us in this time, it's an inheritance. And we looked at some of the early pioneers. We looked at persons like William Miller. We looked at persons like Ellen G. White, James White, Samuel Snow, and many others who through much prayer and fasting and study was able to bring forth this vintage, this special wine of new wine, doctrines that are good and relevant. And yes, Naboth was right to say, I can't sell you or barter or trade in my vintage, my inheritance, my vineyard. And we saw that Ahab didn't care about God's law. And who came on the scene was Jezebel, that represented the Roman Catholic church system. And Ahab represented the state. So we see a church-state union being formed right there. And Jezebel said, I will get it for you. 1 Kings 21 verse 7 says, and Jezebel his wife said unto him, dost thou not govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise, eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth Jezreelite. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, seal them with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and the nobles that were in the city, dwelling with Naboth. We discussed this before. The elders and the nobles we saw were persons, spiritual leaders as it relates to the elders. The nobles we saw that people with certain title and influence in the church. And we asked the question, somewhat of a frightening question. Does it mean that the son-in-law will be executed even by the very members of the church against the members of the church? Absolutely. Because we learn that the elders and nobles were of the same what? City, and they dwell at the same place as who? Naboth. So they were Jezreelite in name at least. But we saw this was actually nominal Adventists. People who had joined themselves to the Adventist church, but whose hearts had not been what? Broken and converted. So they were only in name. So these is the confederacy that was against Naboth, who represented the uncompromising Seventh-day Adventists, and those who were against his vineyard, historical doctrinal inheritance, and present truth. So what's this confederacy? We saw it was the Ahab representing the state, Jezebel the paid basis of a church-state union there. The elders was apostate SDA spiritual leaders, the nobles, those with rank and title. And the sons of Belial were nominal Adventists. Alright, we discussed all that early this morning. And we saw that this plan was etched out in a 4-stage plan. First thing was to make a fast. And we discussed that this morning. We discussed the whole issue of these Sunday rest laws in the context of the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si. And all that has a lot to do with the whole issue of climate change and all of that, right? That's the first stage. Second stage we saw was set Naboth on high. There will be a group, a few will be seen in prominence now. Commanding, keeping people will be seen in prominence. Why? Because they'll be seen as in opposition in their lifestyle and their willingness to be obedient to God. Then the third stage we saw was false, they accuse him. You Sabbath keepers are the reason why all these calamities is going on. And we need to enforce the Sunday law because of you. And then the last stage was then to stone him. A death decree was placed in effect. But we saw this morning that God is going to come through for his people.
Amen.
Now, we are at the stage now, a turning point in our study now. We are at 1 Kings 21 verse 16. And it came to pass when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, that Ahab rose up to go down to the vineyard of Naboth, the Jezreelite, to take possession of it. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah. That's verse 17 of 1 Kings 21. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Arise and go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whither he is gone down to possess it. So now we're making a transition now. We're going to go into our present study, but I want to make a transition for you. So we have a new character coming on the scene. New in the sense that he wasn't being pictured there before. So who asked the question, who is Elijah? Who is Elijah? I will learn from Prophet and Kings 1:22 paragraph. To Elijah was entrusted the mission of delivering to Ahab heaven's message of what? Judgment. He did not seek to be the Lord's messenger. The word of the Lord came to him. So we learn that Elijah represents God's messenger who delivers heaven's message of judgment. So Elijah represents both the message and the messenger. So now Elijah is going to set down the message as he is the messenger. So we're going to discuss now Elijah's message of judgment. So that's going to be our discussion for the next 45 minutes or less. So here's Elijah's message now of judgment. So this is what we're going to be doing. I'll be giving a message in each aspect, then I'll give the application in terms of present time or future occurrences. Are you following me? So I'll give you what Elijah's message is in terms of judgment, then I'll give you as it relates to present and future application. Then I'll move to another judgment, then present, our future application. Are you following me? Yes. So this is now the Elijah message. This is coming from Elijah's mouth. So Elijah now is giving the message of judgment that's going to be relevant to Ahab, his posterity, meaning his lineage, and also to Jezebel and the others. So this message that we are hearing now is relevant to now and what is to come. So, 1 Kings 21 verse 19 says, And thou shalt speak unto him, Ahab, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hast thou killed and also taken possession? And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord, In the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, shall dogs lick thy blood, even thine. So that's the first message in the context of our discussion in terms of the Elijah message. The Elijah message says, Ahab, the state, dog is going to lick your blood, as you have killed Naboth, and same place name it. As where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, the dogs shall lick your blood. Verse 20 and 21. And Ahab said to Elijah, Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? And he answered, I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of the Lord. Behold, I'll bring evil upon thee, and will take away thy posterity. So the first one is the what? Dog is going to do what? Lick whose blood? Ahab. But now the offspring of Ahab is posterity. I will bring evil upon thee, and will take away thy posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall. So all male descendants are going to be what? Liquidated. And him that is shut up and left in Israel. So God is going to make a complete sweep of Ahab posterity, clean sweep. No, we said that Ahab represented the state. So Ahab posterity must represent those who of the state that follows, right? Now, 1 Kings 21, 22, 23 contains the Elijah message of judgment. And will make thine house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah, for the provocation wherewith thou hast provoked me to anger, and made Israel to sin. Listen this down. And of Jezebel also spake the Lord, saying, The dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. The dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. So Elijah's message that describes the destruction of the apostate system threefold. Dogs will lick Ahab's blood, Ahab's posterity will all die, and dogs will eat Jezebel. Is that accurate? Accurate. That's the Elijah message of judgment. Now we're going to spend some time now in its application. Alright? Firstly, we're going to look at the fulfillment of Elijah's prophecy of destruction. Dogs will lick Ahab's blood, the fulfillment. So 1 Kings 22, 34, 35, 37, 38 says, And a certain man drew, so let me get the context. So Ahab was in a warfare. And something happened that seemed to be so inconspicuous. But we can see the hand of God in this judgment. Listen carefully now. And a certain man drew a bow at venture. So then what warfare a man society was put her in a like that. That's all. Didn't aim, did not at all. Are you following me, friend? Yeah. War going on. Ahab is in the battlefield. A man just take an arrow and put it in his sling and go. Didn't aim. And a certain man, didn't have a name, drew a bow at venture, peradventure, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, Turn thine hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chariot against the Syrians, and died at evening. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. Listen, friends. So the king Ahab died, and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. And one washed the chariot in the pool of Samaria, and the dogs what? Licked up his blood, and they washed his arm according unto the word of the Lord, which he spake. Now, for the other fulfillment, it requires a special person to come on the scene. A person by the name of Jehu. Jehu means God is he. You got that, friends? Jehu means God is he. So who is going to bring the judgment onto the posterity of Ahab and Jezebel? God. You got that, friends? Yeah. So we're not going to fight in this battle, friends. You got this, friends? Yes. God is going to fight our battle for us. True symbolic of Jehu. God is he. That's what Jehu means. No. So now, Jehu is going to be anointed as king. So at this stage of the stage down, Elijah is off the scene. At this point in his fulfillment of the prophecy. Are you following me? So Elijah made his prophecies. Then they have been fulfilled now. By this time, Elijah was translated and gone. So who was the prophet on the scene now? Elisha. So here's one of Elisha's servant, the young man. The young man, the prophet. A young prophet. One of the understudy of Elisha. Elisha now giving him some instructions. So the young man, even the young man, the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead. So Elisha gave him some message now, give him an instruction. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting, and he said, I have an errand to thee, O captain. And Jehu said, unto which of all of us? And he said, to thee, O captain. And he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I have anointed thee king over the people of the Lord, even over Israel. So you see what's happening here, right? Elisha gives this young prophet some instruction. Go and find Jehu. God is he, the one who is going to bring out this terrible cleansing of Ahab's posterity and Jezebel, and anoint Jehu king. And listen what the prophet and king says down in 2:14, third paragraph. The first thing that Jehu is going to do. And then he saw the charge Jehu, that's a young prophet who came and anointed him, with a special commission from heaven. Thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master. The Lord declared through his messenger that I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets and the blood of all the servants of the Lord at the hands of Jezebel, for the whole house of Ahab shall what? Perish. And the first thing he did was this. Prophet and Kings 2:15, first paragraph. After he had been proclaimed king by the army, Jehu hastened to Jezreel, where he began his work of execution. So he's got to step in for his people. Yes. Absolutely. So all this heartache and blood loss we're experiencing now, God is mindful of it. He's mindful. And he's going to step in and bring some execution through Jehu. God is he. And those who are deliberately chosen to continue in sin and to lead others into sin, Jehoram of Israel, Ahaziah of Judah, and Jezebel the queen mother, with all that remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men, and his king folks, and his priests were slain. Now, we're going to get to more detail later on with that. That's just a summary statement. So, Prophet and Kings 2:15 continue, first paragraph. Now, before we discuss the prophets of Baal, which we saw was the who? Who remember the prophets of Baal? They represents who? They apostate Protestantism. Remember, we discussed that before in the first study. Yes. Alright? So God go have a controversy with the prophets of Baal. Apostate Protestantism. How is God going to resolve this controversy now? All the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests dwelling at the center of Baal worship near Samaria were put to the sword. By who? Jehu. The idolatrous images were broken down and burned, and the temple of Baal was laid in ruins. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. So we're going to discuss now. We're going to make a transition now. So we learned before in 1 Kings 18:19 that the prophets of Baal, they ate at Jezebel's table, and the spiritual application we saw in them who? They apostate Protestantism. So the prophets of Baal represent apostate Protestantism. So we're going to make a transition now. We're going to transition now into what God plans for apostate Protestantism in our time. Destruction of apostate Protestantism. Now, Deuteronomy 13:6-10 give a very interesting biblical principle that we will have to buy it very quickly. It says, if thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods. So what's the contention? If anybody in your family, or your friends, or anyone you know, entice you to do what? Go serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, and thou shalt stone him with stones that he die. So we said before that the prophets of Baal represent apostate Protestantism. Now, for true Protestantism, who should be the one that they should be serving? Which God? God of heaven. But they're now serving the prophets of Baal, so they have what? Strayed. So what is the punishment that's reserved for them? Thou must stone him with stones that he die. So by a biblical principle, the Bible says, Apostate Protestantism, you shall be what? Stone with stones and die. Now, how is that going to be fulfilled? An adulterous world stone. Babylon's adulterous daughters, apostate Protestantism, or the prophets of Baal, will be fittingly stoned with the plague of hailstones. We just read some of Deuteronomy a while ago. Let's put that in reference now. So I'm reading Revelation 16 verse 21. That's the seventh plague. So the prophets of Baal, apostate Protestantism, shall be destroyed during the seventh plague. Because they have what? Drifted and served what? Other gods. And the Bible says if you serve other gods, how are you going to die? By what? Stoning. Let's look at that now. So Revelation 16:21 says, and there fell upon men a what? Great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and the men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. So treasures of hail. Where is hail coming from? Where do these hailstones come from? Well, let us see. Job 38:22-23 gives us the answer. Job 38:22-23 says, hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the what? Hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble. Now we're discussing the great time of trouble now. So God is saying, when he was speaking to Job, to give Job not only comfort but instruction to him while he was suffering, that I have reserved the hailstones for the seventh plague from as early as now. Have you been there and seen what I have reserved for them? Isn't that a powerful God speaking?
Yes.
Against the day of battle and war. If the hail that will fall has been kept in treasure from before the time of Job, then it must be a natural thing that is present reality. You got it, friends? If God is saying to Job, Job, I have reserved hailstones for a purpose that you have not seen, from even before the time of what? Job. So it must be a what? Present what? Celestial phenomenon. Well, we know as much. There's an asteroid belt around there. Here's the Earth right there. This is the solar system. Very simplistic drawing. But there's indeed an asteroid belt around the solar system there. And these are what asteroids look like. The hail each has a weight of a talent, which is approximately 30 pounds. This is not the usual size of hail from ice storms. Nobody has seen hailstone from 130 pounds from ice storms. These hails are coming from the heavens, from God's treasure house. Was that what we learned? I want you to follow me, my friends. Remember that we learned? Treasure of hail? So the question is, where is God's treasure house? We don't have to duck this. Luke 18:22 tells us. Now when Jesus heard these things, he said unto them, yet lackest thou one thing. Sell all that thou hast and distribute unto the poor. And thou shalt have what treasure in where? Heaven. And come follow me. So where is God's treasure house? Heavens. Not on earth. Because God's treasure house, no thief can get into it, right? Yes. Heaven. So God will then punish an adulterous wife, the apostate Protestant church, by raining down stones from heaven. And that's a significant part of the seventh plague. So God is going to destroy apostate Protestantism using divine celestial phenomenon. Now, why is this appropriate? Well, we're going to look at Leviticus 20:10 and John 8:4-5. So here are some biblical principles as it relates to an adulterous woman, how she should be dealt with by God. And the man that commit adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress, you see that, shall surely be put to what? Death. How? John 8:4-5 says, they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be what? Stone. But what thou say thou? Now Christ showed mercy then. But by this time mercy has long passed. So an adulterous Protestant word, the prophets of Baal shall be what? Stoned. Shall be stoned. But not only that, God have in store for them something else. Zechariah 14:12 says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Are you seeing the context? Their flesh shall consume away while they stand up on their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Now, early writings 289, third paragraph, give us some commentary. The wrath of God in the 7 last plagues had been visited upon the inhabitants of the earth, causing them to gnaw their tongues from pain and to curse God. The who? The false shepherds. That's apostate Protestantism. The false shepherds has been the signal objects of Jehovah's wrath. Their eyes had consumed away their holes, their tongues in their mouths, while they stood upon their feet. Same expression used as in Zechariah 14 verse 12. See, dear friends, their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes. And their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Same expression being used. God have a special punishment for this adulterous system we call apostate Protestantism, or the prophets of Baal. No, Ahab's posterity will all die. Was that a part of the prophecy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only Ahab, that was going to leak Ahab's blood, but Ahab's posterity going to all die. All die. So must there be any left? No. Clean. So as we saw before, all the prophets of Baal were what? Destroyed. So we hear that all the posterity of who must be destroyed? Ahab. So let's look at 2 Kings 10, 6, 7, 8, and 11. Then he, Jehu, wrote a letter the second time to them, saying, If ye be mine, and if ye will hearken unto my voice, take ye the heads of the men your master's sons. Whose master's son are we talking about now? Ahab's sons, right? And come to me to Jezreel by tomorrow this time. Now the king's sons, being 70 persons, were with the great men of the city, which brought them up. 2 Kings 10 verse 6. Go on to verse 7 now. And it came to pass, when the letter came to them, that they took the king's or Ahab's sons, and slew 70 persons, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jezreel. Verse 8, 2 Kings 10 verse 8. And there came a messenger and told him, saying, They have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, Lay ye them in 2 heaps at the entering of the gate until the morning. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men, and his king's folks, and his priests, until he left him none remaining. So who does the house of Ahab represent? If Ahab represents the state, then the house of Ahab represents the secular power. Continued. Follows?
Yes.
So how is God now going to deal with secularism or the state, the kings of this world? Does God have a controversy with them? Absolutely. So destruction of secularism or the state. Alright? What of the kings and merchants? Well, here is some kings here. So was Ahab a king? Yes, he represented what? Secularism. Secular world, the state. Does God have a plan to destroy the secular world? Yes. So Revelation 18 verse 3 says, And for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed what? Fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are what? Rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So that's a picture of the secular world. A world of kings and merchants, persons in high esteem position in the secular world. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she had rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled, fill to her what? Double. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. So we hear Babylon here, or Jezebel, or the papacy is mentioned in cohesion with who? The kings of the world. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord that judgeth her. So Revelation 18, now 9 to 13, giving us now the spectrum of the involvement of the kings of the world, or secularism. Brethren, every much of what we're seeing right now in front of us, This consumerist environment that we live in is all a reflection of what we call secularism. And brethren, all that is in the world that we see now, we're going to read some of these issues, have been controlled by the secular power, by the kings of the world. What are we talking about? Let's hear it. Revelation 18 verse 9 to 11 says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off to the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that's Jezebel, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy their what? Merchandise anymore. What merchandise? Merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and fine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and manner of vessels of precious wood and brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil, fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses, chariots, slaves and souls of men. That's the entire commodities market. So who controls the commodities market? The secular world, but through who? Through Babylon, through Jezebel. Friends, you got that?
Yeah.
So many of us kind of grabbing at the word. There's nothing to get there, friends. Secularism controls the entire commodities market. But these kings and these merchants are controlled by who? Jezebel. Just as we learned before, Ahab, the secular world, was controlled by who? Jezebel. The parallel is perfect. And Isaiah 2:20 says, in that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the bows and to the butts. And James 5:1-3 being fulfillment. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are what? Corrupted, and your garments are what? Look about, not eaten. Your gold and silver is what? Conquered. That's a very interesting word. Gold and silver become conquered when it's not being what? Used. It's been what? In storage. That's interesting. You don't find it interesting? I wonder why the gold and the silver is conquered. Clearly, there's a new system of currency going on.
Exactly what I was saying.
Yep. We have done a previous study. You can look at that one online. And the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. So Revelation 18:10-24 now. So that's how we just read down. I was going to give some commentary now. In the mad strike of their own fierce passions, and by the awful outpouring of God's unmingled wrath, fall the wicked inhabitants of the earth, priests, rulers, and people, rich and poor, high and low. And the slain of the Lord shall be at that day from one end of the earth, even to the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. So those in the secular world is going to literally kill themselves. Through what? Infighting. Infighting. Here it is. Their own fierce what? Passions, mad strife of their own fierce passions, and by the awful outpouring of whose what? God's unmingled wrath, for the wicked inhabitants of the earth. No. The prophecy goes on and says, dogs will eat who? Jezebel. Now, this is the one I'm probably going to enjoy the most because it has so much parallel. Some interesting parallel we're going to be seeing here. Listen very carefully. So how the dogs eat Jezebel? Well, we have to go to 2 Kings 9:30-37. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, so who was coming? Jehu is God, is he? Yeah. He's the iconoclast. Iconoclast, someone who breaks down traditions and destroys statues. Are you following me? Idols. You call it iconoclast. Alright, so he's coming now, and who is he coming for? Coming for who? Jezebel. Yeah. So when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face. Whoa, she's trying to seduce the man of God.
Yes.
Yeah, she's trying to seduce the man of God. Not Jehu. And tied her head and looked out at a window. Remember that? Jezebel looks through what? A what?
Window.
I would say Jezebel is a Roman Catholic Church state system. Are you following me, friends?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a nice application soon enough. Just be patient.
Oh, I think I know it.
And as Jehu entered in at the gate, he said, had Zimri peace who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he said, throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and the horses, and he threw over her under the foot. So he says, who's on God's side? 2 eunuchs says, we're on God's side. They threw her over. She was all painted up and looking through a what? A window. Threw her down, her blood splashed on the wall, her body dropped, and he took his chariot and rode over her. The wicked Jezebel thrown out the window. The infamous story of Jezebel and her death. Elijah's prophecy of her death had already been forgotten, but it was still thus the Lord. Is that so?
Yes.
Jehu and the Israelite army were on the move and unknowingly fulfilling Elijah's prophecy. Jezebel was thrown out the window, troubled by the horses, and eaten by who? Dogs. Moments before death, Jezebel knew she was getting ready to be killed by Jehu. When she heard he was coming, she put on her makeup and fixed her hair. Now, this is not a strange woman. I don't know what a strange woman is. You know the man is coming to kill you, but you're trying to what? Seduce the man or whatever you're trying to make yourself looking, so-called looking pretty. Eh? Not on her knees pleading for mercy. Because Babylon doesn't what? Doesn't change. Jezebel doesn't change. Alright? No. So when he was coming, he did eat and drink and said, go, see now this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more than her what? Skull, the feet, palms of her hands. So how many parts will Babylon be broken into? 3 parts. How much parts is Jezebel in? 3 parts. You guys got that?
Yeah.
So some beautiful parallel, eh? Yes. Revelation 16 talks about Babylon in 3 parts. Isn't that so? The dragon, the beast, and the what? False prophet. So this is a symbol of the whole Babylonian system. Only 3 pieces of her is left. The skull, the feet, and the palm of her hands. Where was the rest of it? In the dog's belly. Eaten by dogs. Wasn't that what Elijah said?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant who? Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of the Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of?
Jezebel.
So what was mentioned by a couple of years back earlier by Elijah, are they in fulfillment?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel. So no burying place. So she was trampled by the horses and ate by dogs. You got that, friends? Trampled by horses and ate by dogs. So who does Jezebel represent? We learned this before. Jezebel represents a pagan church system, the Roman Catholic church system. So we're going to discuss the destruction of the Roman Catholic church system. What's interesting is that this system is a man in a window. A man looking through a window. You see the parallel?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, the word of God is just amazing. So Jezebel looked from a window and we saw it in 2 Kings 9:30. The other opportunity to see the Pope is on Sunday at 12 noon when he is in Rome. He will appear from the window of his apartment where he gives a short speech. Now, I don't know if he puts on makeup and all that stuff. I don't want to go as far as that. But Jezebel fell from a what? A window. So he's going to have a fall. Babylon is falling is? Yeah, so he will have a fall. But let's see how the fall is going to come. Revelation 17, 15 to 17 says. Listen carefully, friends. Now we learned before that how was Jezebel killed? She was what? Trampled and eaten by dogs. Eaten, right? She was some eating went on, right?
Yes.
Revelation 17 verse 15 says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall eat the whore, that's who Jezebel is, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall what? Eat her flesh and burn her with what? Fire. So the word of God said Jezebel is going to be eaten likewise. Was Jezebel eaten in the early discussion we had?
Yes.
Yes. And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now these 10 horns that we see here and the 10 beasts, we're talking about the last union of the world. In this new world order. Of this system of a conglomeration of all the countries of the world. That system going to realize that they were duped by the papacy. And they're going to turn around and destroy the papacy. And destruction is being given graphically. Now, they're not going to literally eat the papacy, clearly. But they're going to burn her, but they're going to also do what? Consume her, destroy her. But the language being used is the same language that was used to do. Jezebel. Now, Leviticus 21 verse 9 gives an interesting biblical principle. What's that? Listen to this very carefully now, friends. We're going to try and understand why is it that Jezebel must be burned with fire. Wasn't that what we learned a while ago, that she was burned with fire and her flesh eaten? But why fire? We learned that adulterous apostate Protestant was what? Stoned. But a different punishment is in place for who?
Satan.
For Jezebel. She's going to be how? She's going to be what? Burned with fire, right? So why one burned with fire but one was stoned with stone? We're going to see the reason why now. Now, Babylon destroyed. Babylon claiming to be the daughter of a priest or Jesus. That's her claim. Will be fittingly burned with fire. Why? Because the Bible says as a principle in Leviticus 21 verse 9, and the daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the whore, she profaned her father, she shall be burned with what?
Fire.
So Jezebel claimed to be what? The daughter of a priest. She was the daughter of Edbal. In the application we saw in 1 Kings 8:17. Are you following me, brethren? Isn't she claiming to be the daughter of a priest, of a king or of a priest now? Yes. Who's the high priest? Jesus. She claims to be the high priest. The daughter of a high priest. So what must happen to her if she played the whore? She must burn with fire. That's a biblical principle. And Revelation 18 verse 8 says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. She shall be utterly what? Burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her. Just as Leviticus 21:9 said, she shall be burned with fire. See, friends? See? She shall be utterly burned with fire. It's almost like a, you see that, friends? Same words being used. So Jezebel, or we say in the papacy, claimed to be what? The daughter of a priest. So if she played the war, and is she played the war?
Yeah.
Yes, Revelation chapter 17 talks about that. So, we have seen the Elijah message come to fulfillment. The Elijah message for the destruction of the apostate system against God's people. Ahab, dog shall lick your blood. Ahab, your posterity will all be destroyed. Jezebel, dog is going to eat your flesh by the wall of Jezreel. And we saw the fulfillment in terms of its historical context, and we saw the fulfillment in terms of the what? Prophetic context that's going to be future. Are you following me, brethren? No. I'm going to read this. Fourth Bible Commentary, 11846 paragraph. It's about my third to last slide. Okay, I'm going to try and summarize the whole Elijah message for us. And for us to realize that now that you have heard and you believe, what's next? Elijah message is a big message that we saw. But what's the message, the essence of the message? We're putting everything together now. Elijah message, and this is not me writing, this is actually in the quotation. In this age, just prior to the second coming of Christ in the clouds of heaven, God calls men who will prepare a people to stand in the great day of the Lord. Just such a work as that which John did is to be carried on in these last days. The Lord is giving messages to his people through the instruments he has chosen, and he would have all heed the admonitions and warnings he sends. The message preceding the public ministry of Christ was, repent, publicans and sinners, repent, Pharisees and Sadducees, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Our message is not to be one of peace and safety.
Amen.
Elijah's message is a message of fire.
That's right.
It's a message of calling sin by its right name.
That's right.
Yes.
It's a message to say, this is Ahab, this is Jezebel, it's a church system, it's unlawful.
That's right.
That's the Elijah message. Elijah's message is that is the first, second, and third age message calling men and women out of Babylon. The Elijah message is that, yes, if you put God's people, and you are going to put God's people under advice with the son-in-law, you shall be what? Destroyed. How so? Ahab, you're going to be killed. Your posterity is going to be killed. Jezebel, you're going to be killed. Prophets of Baal, you don't stand a chance. What a beautiful message to bring to the world. And that's the message that we are called to bring. Our message is not a message of peace and safety. As a people who believe in Christ's soon appearing, we have a definite message to bear. Prepare to meet thy God.
Yes.
That's the Elijah message, friends. So, friends, we're going to go to another series starting when God's willing, when I'm back in March. Is unlocking present truth from the Old Testament. We're looking at the writings of Isaiah, writings of Daniel, writings of Ezekiel, writings of Joel, writings of Jeremiah. All the context of present truth application. Yes. Those prophets write more for our time than for their time. So it's going to be an interesting study going forward. But I'll take a hiatus. By God's grace, I should be back in March to continue. And again, brethren, as I've always shown you, this is the website. These are all different series there. I recommend this series, the Ship Zion, for every single Seventh-day Adventist. I recommend this series for all new believers. Probably my favorite series, all about Jesus. And if you want to understand what's going on in the world right now, watch this series, Explaining World Events, USA in Prophecy. The others, yes, in the fullness of time, you can watch those as you see necessary. But I'll really impress on you guys to take a look at the website and look at some of these series that we have. That's my last slide. We're going to close off in prayer. Shall we pray?